Hello everyone and welcome to the third edition of the Beginner's Guide to Zwift Racing. In this edition I will talk about trainer difficulty. I think this is a very important topic, so I think it deserves its own episode actually. So first of all, what is trainer difficulty and how do you access it? Well, you can do it within a race and you can do it from the main menu. If you are in a ride like this, you go to settings, you go to hardware, and you see trainer difficulty is at the very top. Now I will discuss this when you have it on off, that's 0, compared to having it in the middle, 50%, comparing it to having it on max. So let's first start with it off, like I had. So, what is it and what does it do? First of all, the amount of power that you need to do to go up a hill, well, first of all, it does not have any effect on flat grounds. It only affects going downhill and uphill. Usually the downhill part is insignificant. You don't need to worry about that. So let's just concentrate on the uphill part. You see there is a slight uphill here. That will soon travel up. The amount of watts that I need to put down to get up this hill is gonna be the exact same no matter what trainer difficulty I do have. However, what trainer difficulty does is that if I have it on 100%, it's gonna be the most as realistic as it can be, meaning that I'm gonna get more resistance from my trainer when I go uphill, meaning that I will have to gear down. If I have trainer difficulty on 0, on the other hand, I'm not gonna get any more resistance when I go uphill from when I go flat, from when I go downhill. The resistance is only going to be controlled by the gear that I have in. So for instance, now I have gear 16. It doesn't matter if I go on flat ground, uphill or downhill. Gear 16 is going to be as hard, no matter what. So let's look at it. If I start to go here, and I try to keep, it's going to be a little heavier in the beginning, of course, because I'm accelerating. But once I get up to speed, you can see I'm going to try to keep, I have gear 16, I go uphill, I have a cadence of 87, 88, it might go up to 90. I don't need to go up the whole hill, but you see I don't need to change gears and the watts is not changing dramatically. So let's go down again. You see, same thing. I have the same cadence, same gear and same watts as before. So let's brake. Let's make a U-turn. Now I start a little closer to it, but doesn't matter. So let's change the trainer difficulty to 100%. On flat ground it should be the exact same, but look when I get to the hill. Watch this. It's getting very, very heavy and I cannot keep up the cadence. You see I'm doing high watts even though I have a very, very low cadence. So I need to gear down a lot. You see, I have pretty high watts, but I still cannot get up the cadence. Now maybe. So gear 7 is like gear 16 with no trainer difficulty. Now watch when I do a U-turn. Now it gets terribly easy. See the watts and see the cadence. I don't really think I need to do the 50%. So what's so now you may ask, what trainer difficulty should you use and why? Well, first of all, if you ride primarily outdoors and you want to have as realistic experience as possible on Zwift, you should have 100% trainer difficulty, no question about it. However, this guide to racing is not aimed at you guys. It's aimed at the people who want to get as good at racing as possible. 100% is never advisable to use. So that's out of question right from the get-go. So what should you have? When you are a complete beginner, I think you should have somewhere between 30% and 50%. And why? Why not 100% and why not 0%? Well, if you have 100%, you need to gear up and gear down a lot. It's hard for you to get the correct gear at the right time, and you will need to spend much time and a little bit of thinking also about choosing the correct gear. So that's out of the question, like I said. If you do have 0%, you don't really need to think about gearing that much. However, when you get to an uphill, most people are not going to be having a training difficulty of 0%. They're going to have maybe 50% because that's the default setting when you go into Zwift, if you don't change anything. So they will automatically get more resistance when they reach an uphill, which will make them do more watts automatically. First of all, they will get more resistance. They will try to keep the same cadence as before. That will make their watts go up and their effort to go up as well. Then they will eventually gear down. But before they do that, they're gonna put out some more watts. So if you're a complete beginner and you have trainer difficulty 0, it might be the case that when you get to an uphill, people are gonna do more watts than you. You're gonna be asleep, so to speak, and people are gonna get away from you and you're gonna get dropped. So that's why in the very beginning, I think that you should use a trainer difficulty, not so high as 100%, but between 30% and 50%. So you get the extra resistance when you get to an uphill. I think that's important. When you get a little more experience under your belt, maybe 10 races or so, I definitely think that you should, like I do, switch to 0% trainer difficulty. I think it's the best when you get a little bit more experience, when you know how much power you need to put down to stay with the pack or even break away on an uphill. I think 0% is clearly the best choice, because then you are in absolute control of the resistance on your trainer. It's your gear that determines everything. And I like to be in control of that, because I like to know that if I put in 17th gear and I have, let's say, 85 cadence, I'm gonna be doing this amount of watts. If I want to break away and I figured, okay, I might need 650 watts for 15 seconds to break away, I know approximately what gear to put in, no matter what the gradient is. I know exactly not exactly, but approximately what gear to put in. So I like to be in absolute control over the resistance on my trainer, However, I don't advise trainer difficulty 0 before you get some experience of racing, because I think it's valuable for you as a complete beginner to have the extra resistance added to your trainer on an uphill, so that you don't get dropped accidentally. So that's all I have to say about this. This was a little bit of a shorter episode than the other ones, but I think it's such an important topic that it deserves its own episode. So stay tuned. In the next episode, I will go through your physical setup, what you need to think about when you set up your cycling room or your so-called pain cave. So stay tuned for that. I will publish that in a week or so. Bye for now.